So now we're going to talk about the kitchen garden, which are the beds. Now this lower section hasn't got any membrane down between the beds where the wood chip is, so it is very, very weedy, and it does take a lot of maintenance because we've got a problem with docks and they are just relentless. The top section over there has membrane in between the beds, so it's a lot less maintenance and it's easy to kind of keep up with. So I tend to start with that section because then it makes me see a lot more progress with a lot less effort, so it gives me like a motivation boost. Now this area is also shaded by these trees in the summer when all the leaves have grown back, so I do have to be careful what I put in these beds here. Now this is my mint bed, and we do have different kinds of mint. We've got apple mint, spearmint, usual, just your common mints. We got lemon balm in the back corner, which is coming through thick and fast, and I am going to have a full bed of lemon balm this year, so I don't know if I'll move that and put it with the new ones that I've sown from seed, or whether I'll just leave that there. But as you can see, I've left all the dead bits on here because the ladybirds do like to nestle into the old growth, and I really don't want to disturb them and risk losing any because I'm going to need them when the aphids come, which I have spotted some aphids in the garden today as well, so we like to look after the ladybirds. The dead nettle is not supposed to be here, but the bees love it, so again that's staying for now. And this is another one of the situations where we feel like we are waiting to get stuck in, but I am respectful of nature and her beasts, so I want to look out for the bees and I want to look out for the ladybirds and all of the other beneficial insects as well. These leeks haven't done very well. They are really skinny and not that strong, but they do look really healthy, so I am going to still harvest these, and I'll probably fry them up with some mushrooms and cream and stuff like that, maybe put some in the freezer. But they just haven't done well in this bed, and I think it's because when they first went in, it's a really shaded area, and I think I did plant them out too late as well, if I remember rightly, so that's probably one of the problems with those. Now the rest of the plants in here are kale, so this has been growing well over winter, and I haven't really been harvesting it, but now it looks as though it's all going to go to seed. It's getting too long, it's flopping over, and the flower heads are coming on it. Again, I'm going to leave this for the bees because we don't really have much variety of flowers for them at the moment, but when these come out they'll be a nice bright yellow colour and the bees will absolutely love them. So they're going to stay in there for now, and it also kind of gives me a free pass into not having to deal with this bed. But once all these crops come out of this bed, it will need topping up with compost and organic matter because these have been growing in since last season. I did manage to top up most of the beds before autumn with alpaca cack and compost, and then I covered them with sheep's wool, so a lot of them are ready to go. Oh, this is a massive hole that has been dug by something in the garden, so no idea what did that. But yeah, so most of the beds are ready to go, but then the ones that aren't are really not. Now this section is like a little trio bed that has always been here, so we haven't put this one in, and in this side of it there are alpine strawberries along with lots of weeds. This middle section we had annual flowers in there. We had a borage in there which grew massive and fell over and killed everything else, and I really don't know what that is. I think it's a teasel, but it looks really healthy, so I'm leaving it for now. And then the end one is also alpine strawberries, but they didn't do very well last year, and I think it's because I mulched them with sheep's wool, but I think they do tend to prefer poorer soil because I put some in the asparagus beds, which is sandy, and they absolutely loved it in there. So all of these strawberries in these two end sections of this bed are going to come out and they're going to be relocated. I'm not entirely sure where they're going to be relocated yet, but they are going to be relocated at some point, so that is going to be a big job getting all of those out because there's loads in these. And then these beds are going to be topped up, and they are literally just going to be for flowers this year. Some of them perennials, some of them annuals, and this is going to be like an allocated flower bed for the kitchen garden. Last year I put flowers in the ends of some of the beds, and they kind of took over because they obviously had the opportunity to grow as big as they wanted, and they shaded some of the crops and they impacted the growth on some of the other things. So I'm giving them their own beds this year. These are some old tomatoes, which again, every time I look at them, I always find some little ladybird nestling in the leaves. So I'm leaving these again until another couple of weeks, until I'm happy that the ladybirds have come out of hibernation and I won't be destroying them. So I think these are just going to have to look unsightly for a little bit longer. Again, these are just random pots. I think they're old peppers, which I never got round to emptying at the end of last summer. So all of these pots need emptying. This one here is a catmint, which I am going to have a bed of catmint this year, I think, as well, because it's a great herbaceous perennial and it's really good for pest control. So, and it spreads like wildfire. So I'm going to give that its own bed, maybe in one of the shaded crates that we spoke about earlier, over in the corner. And again, bees love the dead nettle, so this one is staying for now. But this tub really needs to go. All of these need to go to make way for a new bed. I'm going to have another raised bed put in this section here. I'm not quite sure how big yet, and I think it's going to be for crops and not flowers, but we shall see. I think what I want to do is make it to meet both sections of the bed and have it as a rectangular bed, but it is a really good sunspot. So, and at the minute it is just being used as a dumping ground, so I want to avoid using it as a dumping ground and make more use of the space for the rest of the garden. So that's what we're going to do. Now we put all these beds in here, and a lot of them have been prepared for before winter. So this one here, it's been topped up, it's had organic matter mixed into it, and it's been under sheep's wool all winter. So this one is ready to go. All I need to do is tidy the stuff up that I just keep shuffling around the garden, take the sheep's wool off, and this is going to be a bed of carrots until the main crops need to go in around about May or June time. It's a nice long bed, so I should be able to get a full bed of carrots, and that will give me a head start on those. These two beds have already got carrots in them, which I sown last week, so I want to sow carrots in these next week so I can kind of get succession sowing going with those. As you can see, this is the area that doesn't have the membrane in between the beds, so the weeds are prolific. This IBC had loads of twigs in it that we used to propagate, I think some willow and some roses, so we finally dug those out and potted them on. But now it needs all the weeds taken out of it, and it needs topping up with organic matter and compost. But I'm really excited because it means I've got an extra bed again this year, and it's in a really good spot because it doesn't get shaded too much by the tree, so I should be able to get some good summer crops in there as well. This bed has been prepared for before we close down for winter, so that one's good to go. It does have garlic around the edge, which I decided to plant garlic around the edge of a lot of my beds this year, so it didn't take up a lot of space. Dock leaves again making their way through. Now I'm going to have to get on this soon, because as soon as the sun starts coming out regularly and it warms up, they will just kind of multiply and it will be awful. Now this bed is an asparagus bed, and it has alpine strawberries around the edges. Now these alpine strawberries were the same size as the ones in the bed we've just been talking about when they went in, and they really liked it in this bed with the sandy soil. As you can see, there's some flowers on there already. If you haven't tried alpine strawberries, they are wild strawberries and they are so beautiful. They are tiny, they're the tiniest strawberries you'll ever see, but they are so flavoursome. It is unreal. I definitely recommend getting some. But this bed, we had 3 tomatoes in this back side of it last year, which did really well, and we've got asparagus in the front of it. So we did plan for it to be a completely asparagus bed, and we planted some crowns, but 2 of the crowns failed, this one and this one. So that's why we put tomatoes in the back side of the bed to make the most of the space. We do have asparagus shooting up from the other crowns. This one we haven't seen any new crowns yet, but these are the twigs from the old ones last year, so we do know that one is alive, or at least it was. But this one, we have got the asparagus shooting up already. We have harvested some asparagus from the other bed, and it is delicious. It's the first time we've ever harvested it because we've been waiting 2 years for it, but these are starting to come up now. So the plan with this bed is to take out the alpine strawberries and take out all the weeds, and then we might top it up a little bit, but asparagus like sandy soil, so whatever we do, we need to make sure we stick to that in this bed. And I think what we are going to do is get some more asparagus crowns and turn it into an asparagus bed, so like it was supposed to be. Now this bed has been growing purple kale and spinach beets over winter. These were kind of small by the time winter came along, and because the sun's come out again and we've had lots of rain, they have been shooting up basically. I have been harvesting from them. As you can see, the mesh is a little bit of a mess because it's been really windy. I'm surprised it's still on, to be fair, because we have had some awful winds. And what I did notice is our first visitors in the garden, some green fly, if you can see them there. They have now started to make an appearance. They do look like fresh green fly, don't they? The plants do look healthy other than that, so I do think they are new arrivals, which I'm going to have to take the mesh off and let the ladybirds do their work, I think. So this is spinach beet. This is coming through really nice. Now this, I'm a little bit torn what to do with this. I don't know whether to take these plants out and then put some carrots in, or whether just to keep these in to have a source of greens until I need to change them for the main crop, if that makes sense. I've got some spinach and stuff going at the moment, so I'm a little bit torn with what to do. So I'm going to think on that one. But it was topped up before winter, so I don't need to make any changes to the soil or anything. I can literally just change the plants over on that one, and that will be good to go. So you'll notice there are lots of little random pots all over the garden, and that's because we kind of ran out of space to put things because I didn't really have like a master plan. This is a little pot of mint, which is actually doing better now than it did last summer. These are some old planters that we had some flowers in. A lot of them I just picked up from the supermarket when they were past their best for like £1, and then planted them into a planter, and they kind of came out of their shell a bit. Here is just another dumping ground where we have put things that we need to compost and things that also need to go in the ground. And this area, I did actually cover it with the plastic last year because it was just getting overrun with docks and things. So ideally we do need to scrape this with the digger and put some membrane down and turn it into a nice kind of gravel area, which we do have plans to do this year. But again, that might be put on the back burner based on what other things we've got to do. Same with this area here. This is just kind of like a waste ground at the moment because it is really shaded in the summer because the sun, the laurels are that tall that they just shade the sun, so you don't really get much growing room there. And that is a lot of old soil that we kind of just dumped there when we put the beds in and leveled the ground off, which we never got round to moving, and now every year it just turns into this big nettle mound. So I think what I'm going to do is when the nettles start coming through, which they are doing now, I'm going to harvest a lot of the young ones and use them as herbs, and then we hope to get that mound moved again this year as well and tidy that bit up. Now this bed is for annual flowers. We do have some growing because at the end of last season I threw a load of calendula seeds that I'd got from the calendula that were growing in the garden and just threw them on the soil. So I'm going to see what comes up in there and also throw some more seeds on when it gets a bit warmer. This parsley, believe it or not, has survived the winter. It hasn't been covered up and it hasn't been tended to. I literally just left it and assumed it would die, but it started growing again. This is a tansy, which is a really invasive flower, so that'll be staying in a pot as well. Now this bed had green beans in it last year, and these were cosmos at the end, and they didn't do really well, and I'm not entirely sure why, but I've decided to, this is my feverfew, which has died back and then come back again. This year I've decided to change it into a perennial flower bed. So we do have, I planted them in at the end of last summer from plants that we already had established, and now they're all starting to grow back. So we've got some perennial cornflower in there, we've got lots of achillea, which is yarrow. We do have some echinacea as well, which is just starting to come through there. You can see it. I think there's another one that is just a little bit bigger. There we go. So they're starting to come through, and this is their second or third year as well, so they should be nice big sturdy flowers this year as well. That's the thing with herbaceous perennials, you usually have to wait a year or two for them to really get established and appreciate their full glory. This one as well seems to be shooting up. What's this one? Forgotten what that one is. As you can tell, we are going big on the flowers. I think one of the first things that I did underestimate when I first started coming out into the garden was the benefit of having all of these flowers. So I'm really paying attention to that this year and trying to nourish all of the garden as one. That rosemary needs to come out because he is not happy.